Okay, people, for those who have just joined, we're just starting now, diving into the basic best resource that I think, or one of the best resources that you can use for Colombia in general, is on our website. This is our normal website, the home website for 𝗵𝗵𝘀𝗀𝗏 Tours. You'll know that we have the two websites, hopefully. One is the 𝗵𝗵𝘀𝗀𝗏 Tours, and the other is for Incentive Travel Colombia, which is for the corporate travel, etc. On this particular website, you simply put a / here. It's going to come up with the Colombia presentation, just like that. Click on this link, and this will give you an overall view of Colombia and where the different experiences in Colombia are. Today, we're only going to be focusing on Cartagena. So we're diving in here. This will come up. My internet's a little bit slow at the moment, which will just say click here for more info. And this takes us to our website again. This one here, this is a module on our website. Click on user-friendly view. And it comes up with all of these here to make life easier when going through everything. Okay, so it's a great tip. I think you'll all find it very helpful. This here is also, if you want to skip that whole thing of going to the presentation originally, just go to the website, the 𝗵𝗵𝘀𝗀𝗏 website. On the packages, go down to modules, and you'll see all our modules down here as well. These get updated all the time. Okay, so just because what you see there today is, I think there's like 18 or so there today. Tomorrow there might be 19, or we'll just change a few tours and that sort of thing. And okay, I'm going to be getting into that very, very shortly. Also, while I do that, I am going to make this a bit smaller. I'm going to be sharing this city guide with everybody who has not got one right at this point in time. So the city guide has got everything basically that you can use or information to find different things on the website in Colombia, in Cartagena. Well, not just Cartagena. This particular one is for Cartagena, but obviously we have others. So this one, you've got a brief summary of Cartagena, then you're getting into climate, which is where I want to start this today. Climate in Cartagena is obviously extremely important to everybody, which is this one here. Clicking on that link, which I've just shown you here. So I'll be sending this to you, by the way, as well at the end of this webinar. Click on this link. It'll open up the website to this page, and you'll see the history in Cartagena of what we have history-wise, the temperature, wet season, dry season, all that sort of thing is all in here. Important dates to remember. October, the wettest month of the year by far, okay? It is so much wetter here in October than any other month, as you can see here, easily. So whenever traveling to Colombia, going to Cartagena in particular, I always try to avoid sending our travelers to Cartagena in October. Doesn't mean it's going to be that wet in other parts of Colombia. Other parts of Colombia can be good, but not Cartagena. I try not to. Also doesn't mean that it's going to rain every day there as well. And this is a traditional, what it's been happening for a while. It doesn't mean that it's going to be like this next year or the year after. Everybody knows about climate change and what's going on with that. So this is what it traditionally October is a bit wetter. As well as temperature-wise, it's always going to be pretty good, pretty consistent all year round. You're looking, if we're talking Fahrenheit, between 80 to 85, more or less. You know, a few hot days, a few a little bit cooler, but generally 80, 85 all year long. If we're talking in Celsius, because I think we've got some people from other countries as well, we're looking, so it's about 27 to 30, more or less. And you've obviously got the humidity with that as well. Generally, wind isn't really an issue there either, except for when there's a hurricane or a tropical storm or something going through like the Gulf of Mexico. So something up there is obviously going to be a bit of wind causing a bit of havoc that way. which can make the waters a bit choppy. Once again, a bit rougher and that sort of stuff around Cartagena, meaning, and those months are like June to November, more or less. But August, October is when you're sort of a bit windier, a bit rougher the waters. Ideally, so a little bit of a recap. Ideally, best time to send people to Cartagena, December to March, realistically. April still okay, but December to March, best times to send people there for weather-wise. High season, December, January. We've also got sort of March, April is Semana Santa. So depending on when that hits, Semana Santa is Easter. And you've also got July, August as well for school holidays. So that would be, first topic is the climate. Okay. Next, what are we going to talk about? We are going to jump into the tours that you can see on our website as well. Those are all right here. Now these, as you can read here on our modules, we use all of our modules as building blocks. Okay, what we do, we customize each and every one. If people just want a couple of tours this day, or a couple of tours, or a couple of tours in this destination and a couple in this destination, then we take different activities from different destinations when we're doing this. Now these modules are just like, this is just a 4-day module, building block, as I said, sorry, repeating myself, which you can customize, removing different tours and replacing with others. So this one, just for an example, arriving, these are some of the places that I like in the Old City destinations. The Old City has got Centro, San Diego, and Gethsemane. I'll talk about all of those very shortly when I'm going to bring up the Google Map and do that and bring that all of you. And explain the different hotels and destinations, everything. This is probably the most popular city tour that we provide. The 4-hour tour. This is broken up more or less into 2 parts. This part here, which is El Cerro, La Papa, and Castillo San Felipe. Okay, they are the best points of interest in Cartagena that people from La Papa, which is up here, you get a spectacular view of the city down below. This is also in La Papa. It's a convent as well. So you get this sort of beautiful view from La Papa. And then we've got the old city down below. The fort obviously is a spectacular location that you also want to check out. So this is here, these 2 parts here is more or less 2 hours of time. So you're looking at about 2 hours here and then 2 hours here. This is walking around the old city, this section here. We can do this by itself. Often, especially for older travelers or people who don't really like the heat that much, what we'll actually do is split this into 2 tours, 2 2-hour tours. So we'll do this part here at like maybe 8 to 10 o'clock or 8:30 to 9:30. People want to sleep in. And then this one here in the afternoon around, 4 p.m. So we have 2 times. When we're doing this for a 4-hour tour, we'll be starting this at 8 a.m. or we'll be starting this around 3 or 3:30 in the afternoon. We don't like walking around between 12 and 3. Even 3 o'clock still really hot. Okay, we try to avoid the heat. When you're at La Papa, there's cover inside the convent, but in Castillo San Felipe, there really isn't. You are just baking in the sun. So for that reason, we'll start them 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 8 in the morning. One of my favorite foods, just 8-course degustation that we have in Colombia, in Cartagena. It really is good. We've got an amazing restaurant there that we partner with. It's got a beautiful view of the fort as well. So you can actually do this tour and then go into this restaurant and have a really good dining experience here. 8 different dishes, different destinations. So not all Colombia, or not all Cartagena destinations, not all Cartagena dishes, I should say, but different dishes from different locations in Colombia. So, and the guide and or the waiter will actually explain the significance of each dish as well. This is one Can be popular with some people not so much. Noche Blanca, it's a boat that goes on a cruise in the bay at night, starting at 8 o'clock, finishing around 11. Okay, what happens on this cruise? You're going to have all these performers there. They are going to be getting up there, dancing and shaking their booty. They will be getting you up there as well. So you're going to be learning how to shake your booty to the different rhythms, different beats of the Colombian music there. So it's a really fun evening. They have an open bar, lots of food. So it's a really cool night. It is indeed. Rosario Islands upscale. I'm going to skip this one for now because later on, Adam from Cartagena Explorer is going to dive into the Rosario Islands. Rum and chocolate tasting. We've got 2 different venues that we can do this. Both very good. Both have a range of 8 different rums. So it's 8 different rums that people will be trying, and they get paired with a chocolate sweet, a chocolate or a salty appetizer that goes and matches with it. So it goes from the lower, more economical rums to the very, very best that you can get in Colombia. Okay, and this is something that we can actually do in these 2 restaurants, or we can actually do it off-site. So this is something that we can organize, for example, a large group at another venue for 100, 200 people, whatever it may be. We can do a massive rum tasting. This is a fun experience. It just goes for an hour. You can go for 2, but realistically, for people who are just learning how to dance, an hour is great. Now, we use Crazy Salsa. Now, we have 2 venues in Colombia for this. 2 venues. One venue is very close to Centro, which I'm going to just open up here. Cartagena. Open up the map so you can get an idea of things while I'm talking right now. Open up the map. Open up a bit bigger. Come on. Open up the maps. So, go away. Okay, I'll just move this up. Here we go. So this, for those that don't know, this here is the walled city of Cartagena. So it goes around like this, into 𝗪𝗏𝘁, and then around here. So this is it. These are the best places to stay. Sorry, I should go around like that is the walled city. We've got 𝗪𝗏𝘁 here. We've got Centro here, San Diego here. So if we're talking about a salsa class, we can put we have 2 different venues. So depending on how many people are in the salsa class, we can do a salsa class close to Centro, around about here. And we also have another studio in 𝗪𝗏𝘁 now, a new studio in 𝗪𝗏𝘁. So we can do classes up to 40 people in each class. We can do a class of 25 and a class of 40. That's if we're doing 2 different venues. Besuto markets and 𝗪𝗏𝘁, great combination. It's around about 5 hours. It's a good combination because people get to understand the different foods. There's so many different foods, so many different fruits in Colombia as well. As you can see, there's just, I think we do around about 12 different fruits that we try there in this particular tour, but we have other fruit tastings in Colombia where you can try up to 30. What we can do is focus solely on Besuto markets if people wish. So this can be a tour solely to Besuto markets, in which case then there's going to be the fruits, the meats, there'll be, pigs standing out there, or dead pig, I should say, pork, maybe that's the correct word. There's going to be fish, there's going to be everything there. So you get to walk around the markets as the locals do. So you get to see and understand how the locals will go shopping daily, basically. But while there, do a fruit tasting, really good fruit tasting, try some different juices as well. We often, not always, but often combine it with 𝗪𝗏𝘁𝘁. So 𝗪𝗏𝘁𝘁 is this neighborhood here, as I said. Okay, there's the 3 different neighborhoods in the walled city. So this neighborhood here, it was traditionally the neighborhood it's where the slaves basically would stay, were kept, I should say. So it was a slave neighborhood. So it's hasn't not as developed or as upmarket as the other two areas. Centro is a more costly area than San Diego, than 𝗪𝗏𝗁. But 𝗪𝗏𝗁 is also where we take people for like graffiti tours and that sort of thing. Different sort of cultural tour. Doing a walking tour around here is different to doing a walking tour around here. Very different, which I'll get into shortly. Okay, so that's just the simple module. Now, in here, actually, you're also going to find out links to our website for different restaurants, etc., which we'll get into shortly as well. You'll also find these links in the Cartagena City Guide, which I'll be sharing with you later. Now, let's jump down here. A few of the optional tours so you can understand. In 𝗪𝗏𝗁𝗂𝗃. 𝗪𝗏𝗁𝗂𝗃 is close by. 𝗪𝗏𝗁𝗂𝗃. Okay, it's this area here. Some beautiful mangroves in this area. So it's not just for the mangroves that we take people there, but this is a wonderful location. A lot of nature in this area, and it's beautiful view going through the mangroves just for a couple of hours. It's only a 2-hour tour at most. Just going through, obviously, these are local fishermen, and these are canoes that they've actually, they're hand carved. They make them themselves. So you're going through there, learning a bit about the bird life and everything that's going on. That's one option, just like that. Another option, you can combine it with fishing as well. So you can be throwing out some of these cages to try and catch crabs, or a big net to be able to catch fish as well. And you can also have a cooking class. Now, a cooking class here is not like one of the other cooking classes that we offer in Cartagena. This is a cooking class with the locals. So this is understanding how the locals cook when they're outside. So it's very basic, not fine dining by any means at all. Okay, one of my favorite ones here though with the mangroves is the dancing workshop. You can do this dancing or drums. With the dancing, obviously, you're going to be shaking your booty. They'll be teaching you how to do it. We're going to have live music here, so musicians there playing the drums, etc. If you're doing just the drumming one, then it's going to be the mangroves and a focus on the drums. So you won't necessarily be shaking your booty as much anyway. So those are the two different options. I kind of like this one a little bit more. Sorry, did somebody say something? No? Okay. So scrolling down. Now we've got more options here. These are Rosario Islands, some boats, catamarans, private boats, different destinations. But as I said, Adam will get into those. Where am I now? Okay, these are a few more optional tours inside Cartagena. Now, as I was saying, on day 2, was it, for the city tour, we can break this into 2 separate things. So this is going to be a 1 hour, 2 hours, and 2 hours. If we're looking at just a walking tour, then we're generally rounded up to 3 hours, more or less. Can be 2, but we round it up to 3 just to make sure that everybody, so it's more time and more relaxing. What can, not always, but what we can often do is during these walking tours, we go past, obviously, the most important monuments and the different plazas in the area, but we'll also go and show you where the museums are. So with that, that means that because the museums, most of the museums have a lot of the information in English as well. So if you're sending travelers by themselves, or with guides like this, with guides, then they can go around on a guided tour. They can see where those museums are to go back and spend some time, spend a couple of hours really understanding the area. You can also do a Cartagena bicycle tour, which is also a fun way to see it. That's basically in the same area as what I was talking about as well, which would be 𝗪𝗏𝗁𝗂𝗃, but in the old city around here. So that's around about 3 hours. We try to avoid that midday sun as well. Always trying to avoid that. So try to do a morning or afternoon. Street food tour is amazing. 4 o'clock starts. Generally, it's not really a morning thing so much because not all the street vendors are out there selling their everything in the morning. Afternoons, yes. So it's a great experience. 2 hours walking through Gethsemane and the historic area. So it's kind of like a combination, if you understand what I mean. So as opposed to just doing a walking tour, it's a walking tour and dining, but economical dining at the same time. So that's a fun experience. Emerald Jewelry, if you're a jewelry person, we can do a shopping tour with you. Not just this location, but there's a, we do jewelry workshops, but also we can take people just on guided shopping tours, just to the best of the best locations, or if they want the economical markets, we can take them there as well. Now, I talked about doing a tour in Gethsemane before, which is with who was I talking about? Was Basuto Markets, I think it was. The Basuto Markets and Gethsemane tour. So when doing this tour, walking around Gethsemane, you will see a lot of the graffiti. We can do a bit of a focus and do solely a focus on the graffiti if you wish. I mean, there's no way to avoid understanding and learning about the culture that is happening around you as well. But it is more of a focus just on graffiti if you wish one of those tours. Going outside of Cartagena, extremely popular, especially for African travelers, black travelers from Afro-American history. If they're interested in this sort of thing, it's extremely popular for them. This sort of experience, as is going to where was I? La Boquilla for the mangroves experience. Extremely popular to learn about the history of the Afro-Colombian slaves. Basically what happened, I'm jumping out here a little bit, we've got Colombia like this. When slavery was abolished, nearly every slave went over to the Pacific coast or Atlantic coast, obviously with the hope of being able to catch a boat back home, which never happened, obviously. So for that reason, this section of Colombia up here is very, very much Afro-Colombian culture. There's a lot of food, a lot of music. If you go to San Basilio de Palenque dialect, they have their own language there, which you do learn in a tour there. You learn so much about the medicine, about how this became the first, sorry, I should say, San Basilio de Palenque. A palenque is a slave-free location. Okay, so this is the first slave-free location in all of the Americas. So it's extremely important for Afro-Colombian culture and that. So there's the food, which is different to other places. There's the music, which you'll be listening to and seeing, walking around, seeing the buildings that they have there, the medicine that they have there. You'll see how they braid their hair. How they braided their hair they'd be putting maps in their hair while doing it. So they'll be doing braids in hair, and different parts of the braids will show canyons or forests and mountains. And this is how they actually helped other slaves to escape. One of the ways. But you learn so much from them along with some of the dialect. That's from there. It's not just for African tourists, because personally I love that experience as well. It was one of my favorite experiences in Cartagena. I personally am not a massive fan of zoos or aviaries. I like seeing animals out in the wild, but this is a really good one. This is a really good aviary. It's the largest in all of the Americas. Once again, there's a lot of open space. There's a lot of area for the birds to fly around. They do some shows there as well. So you're actually sitting in a stand, and the birds will actually come up and they'll have some keepers close by with some food, and the birds will actually come up over to you or close to you to go and eat. So it's a really cool experience. You see them flying towards you. It's a really fun experience. You learn a lot. We try to do that morning or afternoon as well. Once again, we try to avoid that mid-afternoon sun. This horse ride on the beach is really cool. Okay, this is very fun, but it's up to only 6 people, maximum 6 people. It's a by law of Cartagena that you can't have more than 6 horses on the beach. So if it's a group of more than 6 people, we can take them there, but only 6 people can be riding at a time. Okay, but it can be really fun. And when riding, as in any horse tours, horse rides in Colombia, whether it's Cartagena or anywhere else, it is a walk. Okay, so there is no galloping, no trotting, no nothing other than walking. Absolutely not. Okay, so next one we're going to talk about is 𝗪𝗪𝗁, the mud volcano of 𝗪𝗪𝗁. Now, this is up here. Dive back into, what's that one? That's San Andreas. That's not where we're going. 𝗪𝗪𝗁, that's it right there. Okay, so up here, it's about 30-40 minutes, depending on traffic, from Cartagena. So generally when we go there, what we do, we will include, even though this one here will actually explain a bit of a breakdown of taking a bit of cash for tipping the helpers there or the locals there. What we actually do now, we give all our guides the tips. Okay, so we provide them, we include in what we provide for our travelers, a guide, obviously, and the additional cost for the tipping we give to the guides. Basically, with our reports, it's people have felt uncomfortable with being asked for money by the locals here. So for that reason, to avoid any uncomfortable situations, all of the extra tips are given straight to our guides who go and pay it. But it is, I've got to say, it's a really fun experience. It's like you're floating but not floating, sort of a without gravity, but reverse. Please, if you're doing one of these, you can, move around, but don't kick. People kick and try to swim. It doesn't work out. See these guys with the hats on. They'll actually give you a body massage. They're polite when they're doing it. I should go and say that after you get out of the volcano, you'll come down this side and down there, and there'll be some elderly women from the community who will help clean the mud off you, and they have no shame. Don't be taking anything personal about them trying to get the mud off you. And from there, you then go down to the water down here, which you can see down here, which is a little bit of a walk, only a 5-minute walk, not even, to here to the inlet, and you can get more clean once there. Okay. Next, what are we talking about? The Cartagena birding experience. This is really cool as well for those birders or people who just want to get into nature. Okay, because this is a point. In Cartagena, we have a lot of historical areas in this part here, but you need to get out of the city in order to get into the nature. So if people want to go out and just for a walk in nature, then this is a really cool experience. It's a good experience, 5 a.m. pickup if you're a birder. If you're not a birder, we can do it later, okay? And there is more protection there. There's obviously, you're going into a reserve, a nature reserve there. So we can do it a little bit later in the day, like 9 a.m. or something like that starting, if it's just for a nature walk. You're going to see a lot of birds and that sort of stuff around that area. It's a beautiful location. If you're a bit of a health nut, I was going to say health nut, but that's not true. Yoga, I like yoga, and I wouldn't say I'm a health nut. If you want to do yoga on the beach or by the beach, then this is a really cool one to do as well. You don't need to bring your own yoga mat. That is included. So there's going to be guides there. We pick you up at your hotel, take you here. You do your breathing. You're going to be feeling wonderful for the rest of the day, or it can be something after your tours if you want to relax before going home or going out for the night. Coconut workshop. Now this one here is, as it says, Women Empowerment Project in 𝗪𝗵𝘁'𝗀. This is in 𝗪𝗵𝘁'𝗀 again, which is this area up here. Let's go to the hostel. I don't actually take people there. I'm not sure what's phoned up, but there it's where it is. Excuse me. Okay, so this is some local community there, and this is how they are providing financial income for themselves and their family, which isn't reliant on the husband, because as you may or may not know, the male is generally a dominant figure in most households in Colombia. And so by using this, by getting their own income, that gives them a large amount of independence So you are actually helping the community. You get to interact with them. You get to learn a bit of their stories, obviously with a bilingual guide to translate everything with you. And you can actually make your own little things, bits and pieces, and take some souvenirs, purchase some things from them as well. It's a really fun sort of thing. It's just a few hours as well. Soccer or football, depending on where you're watching me from. Okay, this is also in 𝗪𝗵𝘁'𝗀𝗃𝗲. It's on the beach with locals. This is really cool, okay? So if you have just a couple of people, then what we'll do, we'll organize a team opposing you, but we'll also get some locals to join you in your team as well. Generally, we say a minimum of 5, but it doesn't have to be 5. You can wear your shoes like this. These guys are taking it a bit too serious. But generally, just wear, sneakers, tennis, or bare feet. Because me, I'd be barefoot. So really cool game. I wouldn't say it gets that intense. It's just a really good game to go and play. It's a lot of fun. To begin with, we'll actually organise for the national anthem of your country to be played, I should say. So the national anthem of your country will be played, and you're going to then be playing for your country, I suppose, for the pride of the country. Look, this is really cool. Sunset catamaran cruise. It's just a couple of hours in the night. Beautiful way to go and see the sunset. Now, something to mention, these boats, we can actually organise a catamaran or other boats to be private. Okay, so we can get like 100 odd people, 140 people. I think we've got a catamaran that we can do 180 people on if it's just staying in the bay. So depending on the size, so it can be a really cool experience, can have, your own music, DJs, food, all that sort of thing. This particular one, the Sunset Cruise, if joining this one, it's around about a 2-hour cruise. You get a cocktail, one cocktail. If you want any others, you have to purchase more. It's not something that I've found that the elderly travelers enjoy so much, being on this evening cruise, because quite simply, the music is rather loud. Okay, it's very good sound systems, really good sound systems, but the music is quite loud. So some people don't like that as much as others. But as I said, we can organise a private boat for you. Now that is that as far as all the tours go. Now, next, what are we going to do next? We're going to get into the hotels. Now, as I mentioned, I find Google Maps extremely helpful in this point in time. Now, hotels, you're going to see them pop up here anyway. Some of my favorite hotels, how to word this first? Where I like placing people when they're staying in Cartagena. It depends on the number of people there are, but it also depends on the experiences that they want to enjoy. Excuse me. Personally, I like placing people in the walled city whenever possible, for the basic reason that they can, when they're not on one of the experiences, or not on a tour, not going on Rosario Islands, not going to a beach, then they can walk around and enjoy the 400-year-old town, the architecture. It's really beautiful at night. It's beautiful during the day, but free time walking around the towns is something really, really cool. I really do like doing that. So that for that main reason, I prefer placing people in these 3 neighborhoods, which is Centro, San Diego, and Gethsemane. But having said that, Boca Grande has some really good hotels, some very good hotels. My favorite would actually be not Intercontinental, but the Hyatt Regency, which I can't see right now here. It's around about here. I'm not sure why it hasn't come up. Hampton. It's around about here, the Hyatt Regency. If people like a 5-star experience and they have views of out to the ocean and views of the bay inside, they've got a spectacular infinity pool. It really, really is something. One of my favorite hotels. Sorry, I'm just clicking over to another page while I'm looking for this to go and see if I have. Nope. My hotel options. Okay. Now this is on our website. This is also, sorry, in the city guide. Here you're going to have our hotel options. This doesn't have all the best hotels that are in Cartagena. But understand, Cartagena changes all the time. Like I wouldn't say month to month, but every 6 months or so, there's new hotels that have just renovated, some amazing buildings, quite simply, that are just getting renovated all the time. And so new boutique hotels are popping up all the time there. It really is something spectacular. Just made me think of something then, the Four Seasons. For those that don't know, the Four Seasons Hotel is going to be opening in 3 months, I think. And that is actually going to be in this area here. Okay, so that's going to be in 𝗪𝗏𝘁. Okay, jumping back here. Now, San Agustin is one of the best hotels in Cartagena. It is really spectacular. 5-star. The service is spectacular. The rooms are spectacular. Boutique-ish is the style, but it's spectacular, as I said. 𝗪𝗏𝘁'𝘀𝗏, really nice hotel. More of a 4-star than a 5-star, but I think it's still very, very good quality. Amala, another great hotel. 𝗪𝗏𝘃𝗏, great hotel. You can see some of these have rooftop bars as well. Casona, this one actually only opened, I think it was about 18 months ago, but it's going really, really well. Really rate this one also. But there's not just that. There's so many others that we have. Let me open up another one, jump in here. And these ones that I'm all looking at here, these are all in the old city as well. The old city, when I'm saying the old city, I'm saying the walled city more than anything. Okay. The best hotels, obviously, come at a price tag. Bastion has a beautiful pool area, rooftop pool. It's great location for a rooftop party as well. Excellent location, as is the 𝗪𝗏𝘁 as well, by the way. And all of these, look, I could dive into each one of them, but you've got this information here. You can definitely, I'll be sending this to you. There's some really good 4-star hotels as well. One that I don't know why I haven't got there, Sofitel Legend. This one here is wow. Okay, it is spectacular hotel. It's got to have a special mention because it really is something amazing. Accept all, we'll accept all. This is just a beautiful, beautiful hotel. It has approximately 120 odd rooms, 160, sorry. 160 odd rooms. It's we can organize functions there, private functions. This is actually around the pool area. It's got was a convent, not anymore, but it is a beautiful, beautiful destination. It is something, probably the highest value hotel in Cartagena will be the Santa Clara. Now, talking about Sofitel though, Sofitel also have Sofitel Casablanca. There we go. Not Casablanca, but Casablanca. Okay, Sofitel Casablanca. It is in 𝗵𝗏𝘃, so it's another 5-star hotel. It's only about a year old, I think, maybe 12 months, 14 months, something like that. It's got some really good ocean views. Can also organize amazing functions there on their beach. They've actually got 2 beach sections as well. It really is a very, very high-end hotel. That one is actually, I'll jump back over to the map. So we've got the Sofitel Legend, which is over here. And then we've got 𝗵𝗏𝘃, which is down here. And that one there is around about, here it is, Sofitel 𝗵𝗏𝘃. Best way to get there, by the way, boat. Okay, you can go by land. Roads aren't the smoothest. Okay, to get there, best way to get there by boat. Definitely by boat. You can easily do a boat transfer from Cartagena to there. So we've got some amazing hotels here. Sofitel, special legends, special mention of that one. Special mention of Sofitel 𝗵𝗏𝘃. There's others, really good high-end hotels. which are mainly in this area here, as I was saying. If you want larger groups, if you do have larger groups, I would recommend coming out here. If you've got 100, 200 people who need their own rooms, oh, there's the Hyatt Regency right there. 200 people need their own rooms. Hyatt Regency, I believe, has around about 300 rooms, if I'm not mistaken. It's got this affinity pool, which is spectacular. But there's also, that's the higher end. We've also got 𝗓𝗏𝗏, which is around there as well. Good 4-star, but not quite as nice. Another one for large groups. Got large groups coming. I'm going to zoom out here. There's a 𝗓𝗏. Where am I looking for? Las Islas. I'm looking for Las Islas. Can't find Las Islas. Not Las Islas, sorry. Las Americas. Americas. Oh, that's not it. Okay. Las Americas is around about, here it is, there. Las Americas. Okay, so this is a 𝗂𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗄 family hotel as well. They have 300 plus rooms as well. They also great for functions. They can do, I think, up to 1,200 people in a theatre. They have their own convention centre there. They have beautiful, beautiful beaches, beach space there. So that area here it's not a private beach, but you still get street vendors here, but it's a much more relaxed area for swimming and relaxing is in Las Americas. As opposed, sorry, I'll jump back out because I didn't mention it. La Boquilla along here, Boca Grande, sorry, Boca Grande. Beautiful beaches, but you get a lot of street vendors there. So I do send people there sometimes with the clear understanding that they could get harassed often, and it's really can be quite annoying being on the beach and somebody coming up to, put their hands on your shoulders to give you a massage, and you don't want it, and you get annoyed, leave. Then somebody comes up 2 minutes later to sell you some fresh oysters, which please don't eat the fresh oysters if somebody's selling you any oysters on the beach. But it is quite constant on Boca Grande, not as much up this area. Somewhere else I didn't mention, which I should, is 𝗂𝗃𝗏𝗁. This is a really nice place. Okay, it's a beautiful location, beautiful resort. The only problem that I don't like about that is the distance that it has to be from Cartagena. It is something, if you want an all-inclusive resort, this is fantastic. They've even got the tennis courts here, as you can see. This is right next to the golf course. So it doesn't give you free access to the golf course, but we can get discounted rates for the golf course. And that golf course is spectacular. It is a highly rated golf course, as you can see, this one here. I should just pop it in. Okay. There it is, golf course. Images. This is it. As you can see, this is a spectacular destination for playing golf. Jack Nicklaus design. It is something amazing. They've got tennis. We can do events there also. If you require, they also have a wonderful spa area as well. So that section up there with 𝗂𝗃𝗏𝗁, if you have a large group, awesome experience being there because they've got 2 pools. They've got volleyball, they've got beach access, everything here as well. Where else am I now? Going back to, what have I talked about? I've been talking about hotels. I've spoken about Sofitel. Where else? Las Islas. I didn't get into Las Islas when I was repeating Las Islas. Las Islas. Another really spectacular hotels are in Baru. Baru is a beautiful, beautiful destination. Las Islas is here. Okay, this is actually Las Islas here, and this is the island also. So let's check out these photos. It is something, if you want something just amazing to wow your travelers, or to wow yourself if you're a solo traveler yourself, they have swimming pools in tree levels. At the tree level, they have swimming pools at sea level. It is something amazing. It is something that decline that one. They've got it's amazing for groups as well. It is amazing experience for large groups. They haven't got a conference area as such, but for a team building experience, amazing. And they do have, as I said, this island as well is also theirs. So this is a little bit more private. Not that I can say, it's a private location anyway. They have got a helicopter that is based there. Helicopter flights we can also organize. Where's my map? I'm right on the map. The helicopter is based here, so we can actually do transfers to Las Islas from Cartagena. We can also do helicopter flights from Cartagena to Barranquilla, or Cartagena flights from Cartagena to Santa Marta, or if you really want to go to Bogota or to Medellin as well, we can organize all of those. Okay, now what will be next to talk about will be the restaurants that we have. Restaurants. There are many. I'm going to come over here, use this as well. These are some of my favorite restaurants. Once again, even though these are the, it's open in the wrong place. Open here. Oh, it's still opening there. Doesn't matter. So some of our top 5-star restaurants in Cartagena. These aren't the only ones. Carmen is spectacular. These are all blogs and articles that you'll see on my website. Arma is really, really good. This one is part of the San Agustin, the hotel that I mentioned before. So it's right there. It's part of it. It's spectacular, spectacular food there. All of these ones, I would not say any of these restaurants, you will be, I wouldn't say disappointed if you don't go, because you won't know what you've missed out on, but they are top restaurants to choose from. From this I've just lost, there it is. Bring it over here again, sorry. Technical difficulties, as I've told you. So in the city guide, you'll be able to get more 5-star restaurants, 4-star. We've got some economical restaurants as well that you can check out for those people who want more like street food and that sort of stuff, and some cafes. So all of that you can dive into there. As well as that, though, I would like to go and mention a few other venues which are also restaurants. Okay, so some venues which I want to go and mention would be the Cartagena Convention Center. I'm just going to type it in here. Yeah. Now, they've got an amazing restaurant here. This is located right here. So this is for larger groups, obviously. Can be for 20 people, 60 people. They can do things for a few hundred people. If it's a convention or something like that, you get up to 2,000 people there. But their restaurant is just out here. So it's on the water's edge. So you can go back here. So you can see this is actually where you're going to be dining all the way around here. It is something really special, spectacular. That's for private experiences, though. For private, Las Americas has special restaurants. Sofitel Legend is special. The Hilton, actually, I didn't actually mention the Hilton before. The Hilton actually has really good restaurants in there as well. Now, the Hilton Cartagena is a hotel and convention center. That's around here. So it's got some amazing views from there also. So it's not somewhere, I still rate in all honesty, I rate the Hyatt Regency as a better location. But as you can see from these photos, it's nothing that you're going to be disappointed with at all. It really is got some amazing food there. The restaurant is good. Casa 1537 is something. It's nice. I like Casa. This is Casa 1537. It is something spectacular for banquets, for weddings. It's very close to the Sofitel Legend Hotel. It's basically part of it. It's got some wonderful views from there as well, but it's really, really good. Really, really good. I would also rate this one second, 𝗪𝗶𝘀𝗀𝗏. After this ad stops, which hopefully will be very shortly. There we go. 𝗪𝗶𝘀𝗀𝗏. Now I want to pause it here because this is actually what part of the fort as well. Part of the, sorry, the protection for Cartagena here. Now this is the restaurant here. Now you can see this, all of these boats here, so we can actually dive and drive you right in here and drop you off by a boat. Okay, so that's something really something special that you won't get in any other restaurant in Cartagena, that we can actually take you there in a catamaran or a private boat or whatever it may be. We can take you there directly from the Rosario Islands if you wish. Now I'm going to explain to you how we can do that right here. If I get to this map again, diving out here, because this is where it's located. Okay, it's right here, so we can take you in from the Rosario Islands all the way right in there, and we can drop you right off there. We could also, depending on where your hotel is, just give you a short transfer, pick you up from your hotel, put you on a private boat here, and take you across the wharf. So we can also do that. That is something that will be really quite special, something to impress a lot of people. What else can I talk about? 𝗂𝗃, I think we already mentioned. You saw 𝗂𝗃 before. 𝗪𝗃𝗂𝗃𝗃. Okay, this is something. If you haven't been, this is actually a chain in Cartagena. Okay, it's called 𝗪𝗃𝗂𝗃𝗃. It has music, it has food, obviously. They have live performers. This is something that you can go just as a couple of people, one person, two people, 60 people. You know, we can actually organize private functions here for up to 300 to 400 people. Okay, it has got some wonderful, wonderful food. The chefs are second to none. It's in 𝗪𝗏𝘃 as well. 𝗪𝗏𝘃, which is this neighborhood here. I've mentioned it so many times. 𝗪𝗏𝘃 has some amazing restaurants. Oh, sorry, 𝗪𝗃𝗂𝗃𝗃, the rest is right here. So it's actually part of San Diego, sorry, in San Diego. What's something else I can talk about as far as restaurants that I want to mention to you? I think that's pretty much it for the restaurants and venues, probably. Venues, that's pretty. There are some other venues if you have large groups. There are other venues that we can take you to for 100 people, 200 people. Some places do have limits. Cartagena isn't somewhere where you're always going to have easy access, whether it be by transport or in large numbers, I should say. What I'm trying to get to is that some of the streets are narrow streets. So you can't necessarily take a big 40-seater bus down some of the narrow streets. So that sort of thing we'll be organising for you, obviously, when going to some of the hotels. It's also a case for when you're going to some of the restaurants to bear in mind that not everywhere can take a big 40-seater bus. Many places you can go with a taxi or in a, should I talk about, because right now what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to stop sharing for a second and just go and say, hey, Adam's here. Adam. Oh, yeah, sorry, that's for Adam now. Adam's going to be jumping in like 2 minutes to go and talk about the Rosario Islands. Now, what I was going to mention to you is about transport. Now, transport in Cartagena. There are different options in Cartagena. Taxis can do. Problem with the taxis is they don't have a taxi meter. Okay, so you have to negotiate and tell that taxi or ask that taxi driver what he's going to be charging you for where you want to go. Not every taxi driver is honest and will actually tell you the correct fare. If you're going to be getting a taxi, I strongly suggest that you get it booked from the restaurant or from the hotel, wherever you're coming or going from, because that way it's going to be registered. It's going to be on their boards. It's going to be in the computer system. So there's no need to worry about getting overcharged or anything like that, because they will know how much it's going to cost. A option is Uber. Okay, for those Americans that are watching, and many other countries, I suppose, people who are watching, Uber is here in Colombia. It depends who you speak to as to whether it's legal or not. Okay, they don't say it's legal. It was considered illegal for a while, and now they're not saying it's illegal, but they're not saying it's legal. What happens when you get an Uber? You get in the front seat. You always get in the front seat as if you are a friend of the driver. It's not something that you're going to get in the back seat. So you can take an Uber, so you will be registered on that platform, but in which case you're going to get in the front seat always. My concern with Uber for our travelers is basically insurance, because it's not classed as legal public transportation. So for that reason, if there is an accident when you're in that Uber, I would expect that an insurance company will dispute it. Dispute paying anything is what my expectation will be. My travelers, or our travelers in general, will use Placa Blanca, which are white cars. Okay, they're white cars with white number plates. So those are the legal public transportation for that you can take, those or taxis, yellow taxis, or a bus if you wish, if you're feeling very, very confident. But those are the different options that I would suggest of transport-wise. There are, I didn't mention this part, I was going to mention this before. I didn't jump into flights. I do want to mention flights. Here, I'm going to share screen and talk for a moment before giving over to Adam. This is my favorite website, flightconnections.com. If you don't use it, please save it. It is fantastic website, flightconnections.com. Fantastic website for finding those direct flights to where you want to go. Cartagena, it has like 27 destinations from 13 countries fly direct to Cartagena. It's a 3-hour flight from Miami, 4 hours to Atlanta, 5 hours to New York. Going from Europe, you're looking 10, 11 hours direct flights. Okay, so if you're planning to travel from one of these destinations, or your travelers are going to be going from there, use this. I strongly recommend it. It is great. I should mention, like Zurich here, this is seasonal. This is from October to April. Okay, so they do it every year, high season, October to April. They will have direct flights going here every year, but for the remainder of the year, it has to be private. So you can charter your own flights and that sort of section. But those, definitely, I recommend using this website. It is a gold website. And before I jump over here again, one more time, because I'm talking about transport, just to give people an idea of where Cartagena is transport-wise by land. If we're going from Cartagena to Barranquilla, we're talking about a 2-hour drive. Okay, if we're going from Barranquilla or from Cartagena up to Santa Marta, which is in here, we're talking 4 hours. Okay, so 4 hours, that distance. If we're going to Tayrona Park, and there are some really cool hotels in Tayrona Park, I'll be getting into this another time, 5 hours. Minca here, around about 5 hours as well. If you're going down the other way, down to Rincon del Mar, beautiful destination, not as big for tourism, nowhere near as big as tourism as other parts of Colombia. So you can send people there. Spectacular, spectacular, beautiful, beautiful location. But there's not a whole lot of English-speaking people there. So if we were to send people there, we would send our own guide to accompany people and stay with them. Now, I think that's it. Oh no, I was going to jump in. Okay, last thing before heading over to Adam as well. Safety tips in Colombia. I'll stop sharing. Safety tips, quite simple. It's all logical. If you see a dark street, don't walk down it. It's not well lit. Don't go down there, please. If it looks lonely, if you feel a bit nervous, please just walk the other way. You see a group of people or a couple of people, you think, yeah, I don't know about them. Don't walk by them. It's that simple. That is the biggest tip that I can give you. I can give you other tips. Don't walk with your cell phone out in public streets where it's easy for somebody to just come on a bicycle or something and grab it and run off. Quite simply, you've got to understand that there are a number of people here with lower economical resources. So your cell phone is going to feed their family for a month or more. So best not to walk and talk on your phone. That's in any of the destinations in Colombia. Even if I go and tell you that the walled city is the safest part in Colombia, one of the safest parts in Colombia. There are so many police there, it is really a safe location. I still do not recommend you walking and talking on your cell phone in that area. It's too easy for somebody to grab it and run off. They're young, they're fast, they're athletic. You know, they are wanting that most of the time. These people who are doing this, they're looking and thinking about feeding their family, nothing else other than that. So please don't do that. Also, if you're going to be getting a taxi, as I said before, get somebody to call it from the restaurant or from the hotel, or use one of the placa blanca. Those are the white vehicles. Other than that, it's all just relax, enjoy yourself. Now I'm going to pass it over to Adam. Adam, I need to have a welcome. Thank you for joining us. Please take over, share your screen, and enlighten everybody, please, on the Rosario Islands.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Bruce. Thank you very much for having me. I had some technical difficulties connecting at the start, but just very briefly, to everyone, my name is 𝗪𝗵𝘁'𝗀𝗏. I lived in Cartagena from 2011 to 2022. Now back in my native South Carolina, but Cartagena is still very close in my heart. And I'm going to speak to you all, touch very briefly on the beaches in Cartagena, and then talk about the islands, because what I find is there's often some points of confusion, not exactly misinformation, but information that isn't always very clear when you're just reading stuff online, or maybe talking to other travelers related to the geography, best way to get out there, where to go. So we'll touch on all the islands, including what I consider to be the best ones, the Rosario Islands, which is probably where we'll spend the brunt of our time. So let me share my screen. I'm going to go to our good friend Google Maps as well. All right. Okay, so here we are, Cartagena, walled city, 𝗪𝗏𝘁. This is where most people probably are going to stay, either there or in Boca Grande. As Bruce mentioned, the beaches in Boca Grande, they're fine beaches. I mean, I often compare the beaches in Cartagena itself to the beaches here in South Carolina. They're good. They're not the kind of stuff that most people say, I'm going to the Caribbean and I'm going to sit on a beach with crystal clear waters. To get that, you really have to get out of the city. Down here in this area, as Bruce mentioned, you have a lot of vendors. People that I want to have an ocean view, I want to be beachfront, I want to spend every morning or every afternoon on the beach. This is a great area to stay. For most people, they go to this beach and they are disappointed and or frustrated by the vendors and it not being maybe the beautiful Caribbean beach they saw when they Googled beaches in Cartagena initially. For people who do want to stay in town and not get out to the islands, I actually recommend this beach in Castillo Grande. And then the beaches up around Las Americas, which is right in this area. And I should go a little higher, actually, around Las Americas and La Boquilla. They're not particularly much nicer than those in Boca Grande, but they get less crowded and they have a little bit less of the vendors. So let's talk about islands. So on the edge of the bay, let me move this so I can get to my zoom out. We have the Isla de 𝗪𝗏𝗄𝗏, or 𝗪𝗏𝗄𝗏 Island. This island is largely inhabited. There are a few small towns on it. Beaches here are a little better in town, but still not that crystal clear Caribbean water. This can be a good option for people who don't want to go on a long boat ride. Maybe they don't like boats, maybe they don't like waves, maybe they have young children, maybe they just want to stay closer to town. There is an advantage here as well that they can stay later in the day due to currents outside the bay in the open waters. Boats coming back from the other islands generally leave the islands around 3, sometimes maybe push it close to 4, and you're back in Cartagena around 5. Here you can stay, you know, through the early evening because it's just a short boat ride across the generally very calm waters of the bay. There are sort of 2 main sectors on 𝗪𝗏𝗄𝗏. This kind of area just across from Boca Grande usually is referred to as Punta Arena. There are several nice places there. Among them is Phoenix Beach. Palmerito is probably my personal favorite in this area. I would say it attracts a little more of a local and Colombian crowd. And then there's also a place called Namaste, which is not shown up here on the map. I believe it's just, I think it's a little south this way. This is like a 5 to 7 minute boat ride across the bay. Beaches are nice, not amazing, good options. You have a beautiful view of kind of the high rises across here in Boca Grande as well from there. Going out, we're going to kind of just take a geographical approach to this. On the far side of the island, there are a handful of other beach clubs and resorts. This Makani is one of the newer ones and one of the nicer ones. It looks a little more like, you know, a beach resort you might find, maybe not quite as nice as what you would find in the Bahamas or something, really big ones, but a little closer to that. Whereas the other ones are generally a little more, I don't know what the word is. Rustic isn't the right word, but you know, smaller establishments, not really big infrastructure, not luxurious rooms. This is a little closer to that. Here, Boca Chica, this is the actual entrance to the bay. There's a little town here, and there is also a fort. It's very well preserved. If you have travelers that are like big history buffs, this can be a neat place to go to. Because not a lot of people go out here. However, there's not really a good way to get out here except by boat. And there's not really much there in terms of guide or signs or explanations. But this is the main entrance to the bay. Boca Chica for smallmouth as compared to big mouth, Boca Grande over here. Former social studies teacher in me has to tell you there's an underwater wall here that the Spanish built to make this the main entrance of the bay where they could defend. So really, 𝗪𝗏𝗄𝗏, you've got places here, very short boat ride, number of options, Punta Arena, good, nicer beach in town, not amazing. Over here, kind of similar thing around Boca Chica. Zooming out, so let's get away from the city to what we might more properly call the islands. We go out here. These are the Rosario Islands. The main sort of cluster is here, where we have, this is Isla Grande, the largest island. Next to it is Isleta. This is where most of the hotels and beach clubs are located. There is an oceanarium where people can see fish. They can swim with dolphins there. I know that can be some people think that's great, some people think that's a horrible thing. I'm not here to judge that. They can do that here. There's not a ton around here in terms of beach though, but if you have travelers who want to do that, it can be something that you can include. Other places out here that, in my experience, are good. There's no shortage of options. One thing that I would say to keep in mind, especially when you're talking to travelers about coming out here, you do have the crystal clear waters. You can snorkel, you know, you're going to see your feet down in the water when you look down. Because these are coral islands, the beaches themselves tend to be quite small. Some of them are sort of man-made, where the hotels have built little beaches. They can be a little bit shelly or rocky. So it's not a bad idea to encourage people to maybe bring water shoes if they would like them in that case. It also is not, you're not going to find sprawling, long, sandy beaches. One of my favorite places out here is Isla Bella because they have one of the better beaches out here. Again, it's not huge, but you've got a good amount of sand, you've got a good amount of space. They have a beautiful view kind of in this little bay where they're located. There's like a little island with a house on it out in the middle of it. Another very nice one, which doesn't show up here on the map, is San Pedro de Majagua. I believe is sort of located right, I'll say it's right in this area. And I believe Bruce works closely with both of those. Another thing to keep in mind for travelers planning to come out here and spend the night. These are fairly isolated islands. There's not proper electricity. Hotels are going to have generators. Most of them are not going to have things like TVs and have air conditioning that run all day and high-speed Wi-Fi. They're a little more like nice beach cabin destinations. So I'm going to speak about some options for people who might want more of those types of amenities in a moment, but it is one thing to keep in mind for those who want to spend the night out here, that there are very nice places, very clean, very comfortable, but you know, they're not going to have a big restaurant where you can sit in the AC all day if you want to get off of the beach. A handful of them do have small pools, but this is more like, I'm going to go to the beach, I'm going to relax, I'm going to disconnect for a day, 2 days, 3 days. There's not really much else out here. There is a little town on Isla Grande, but most travelers are not going to want to go and spend time in this little town. There's not like nightclubs or nice restaurants to go there. So that is the Rosario Islands. They are roughly 45 minutes to an hour boat ride away from Cartagena. Seas are generally pretty calm in the morning, coming back in the afternoon, particularly if you stay a bit later, like that 4 o'clock-ish. There can be a little bit of swells. So again, this is something that, in my experience, it's good to let travelers know that, because some people don't expect it and then they freak out about it. I have never been scared coming back on a boat there, but I have, you know, I've bounced up out of my seat once or twice. So, you know, the Cartagena coastal authorities monitor conditions, and if it's unsafe, they don't let boats go out. So it is safe. But it's worth possibly giving people a little bit of a forewarning that they might have a bit of a bouncy boat ride coming back. So that is those are the Rosario Islands. Now let's talk about Barú. So this is where I find there can often be some confusion because both the geography and the names are a little bit confusing. First is the Rosario Islands are part of a national park called the Parque Natural Nacional Corrales del Rosario y San Bernardo, which is another set of islands we're going to talk about very briefly at the end. But that national park includes waters off of 𝗪𝗏 because they're important fish ecosystems, they're important natural areas. So you often have people talk about 𝗪𝗏 as if it's part of the Rosario Islands. From a geographical standpoint, strict definition, it is not. But parts of 𝗪𝗏 offer a very similar experience, which is why in some ways it does make sense to include it talking about the Rosario Islands. Other parts of 𝗪𝗏 do not, and that is the other main point of confusion, particularly talking about 𝗪𝗏. So very briefly, I'm going to zoom out. 𝗪𝗏 is actually I guess it's not a man-made island, but it is an island due to another man-made structure, which is the Canal del Dique, which the Spanish constructed to connect the Magdalena River, the main thoroughfare into Bogota in the interior of the country, to the bay in Cartagena here. So this is most commonly called 𝗪𝗏 Island, or Isla de 𝗪𝗏 today, although technically it is a peninsula. The most well-known beach in 𝗪𝗏, and what I would hazard to say 70% or more of people are thinking of when they say 𝗪𝗏, is Playa Blanca, which is here, roughly halfway down the island. It's about, I would say, an hour drive from Cartagena, very close to the aviary Bruce mentioned earlier. So Playa Blanca, for context, the first year I lived in Colombia, I lived in this little tiny town as a volunteer teacher, very close to Playa Blanca. Back then in 2011, Playa Blanca was very undeveloped. There were a handful of beach shacks. You could go out there and pay a few dollars and sleep in a hammock because the roads were not paved and there was no bridge connecting it to the island. There is now a bridge. The road up to about this point is paved, and there has been an explosion of both crowds and building along the beach. And it's very haphazard building. It's still wooden beach shacks, but it's just very much more cramped. There's a lot of people. There is a lot of vendors selling things, some of which have a reputation for overcharging people. I generally do not recommend Playa Blanca to anyone now for those reasons. I think getting out to the Rosario Islands, or the area of 𝗪𝗏 we're going to talk about in a moment, is a much better experience for just about any kind of traveler, even those who are a bit more budget conscious, because the hassle of getting out here now just isn't worth it. There's a lot of conflicting information about Playa Blanca because it has changed so much and so rapidly over, I guess, really about the last decade since the bridge was built. If you're reading information that describes Playa Blanca as a hidden gem or undeveloped paradise, it probably was written before 2014, 2015-ish, because that's what it was like. It's not anymore. It's just, it's overrun. It's still a beautiful beach, beautiful white sand, beautiful clear waters. But navigating, how much you're being charged, the crowds, I don't consider it's worth going out here yourself or sending travelers out here. But as I said, like 70% of people when they talk about 𝗪𝗏 are talking about Playa Blanca. So you might see people say, don't go to 𝗪𝗏 at all. You're going to get overcharged. It's too crowded. There's not proper infrastructure. That is the case of Playa Blanca. It is not necessarily the case for all of 𝗪𝗏. There is one other sort of sector that is good, and then there's also, Bruce mentioned earlier, the 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏, which is fairly new. It is, yeah, up here. It's set up off on its own. It is probably the closest thing to a more traditional beach resort that you'll find in 𝗪𝗏 or in the Rosario Islands, with kind of modern amenities, a big pool, rooms that look like, you know, your typical hotel room if you go to the beaches in Florida, for example, at a nice hotel, nice beachfront hotel. So it is a good option. There's not a lot of crowds here because there's not really much else out here. Then if we go all the way down to sort of the end of 𝗪𝗏, there are also some excellent hotels and beaches out here, including, compared to the Rosario Islands, sandier beaches that don't have those rocks. Bruce mentioned earlier Las Islas, which is here on this sort of little island off of 𝗪𝗏. He showed those pictures. In my opinion, that is both the nicest and the most unique beach resort in Cartagena or near Cartagena. You know, it's basically luxury cabañas or villa. I mean, I guess they're not villas. Yeah, they're villas. That are nestled up either in the mangroves or on the beach. So very unique experience that toes that line of, I'm kind of immersed in nature and it's rustic, but it's also like luxury and there are amenities here. Another good option in this area is the Hotel Isla del Encanto. It offers something closer to that traditional hotel experience as well. Like there are TVs in the room, there's air conditioning in the room. Other points worth mentioning here, Cholón, which is a little tiny beach on the edge of this island where there are some sort of thatch roofs in about waist deep water, and it has become a very popular place for mostly people who are renting private boats, but also shared boat tours to pull up and party. Another common misconception or thing I see or concern people have, and I think this is probably fueled by Instagram and other social media, is all the boat tours of the Rosario Islands are party tours and it looks like spring break. That's here at Cholón. For people that want that, it's a lot of fun. I don't think it's quite as exaggerated as Instagram often makes it look. But obviously it is not for everyone. People with young children probably aren't going to want to go here. And so sometimes people see videos or photos of this and assume everything in the Rosario Islands is a big party. It's not. This is where that sort of party spring break vibe, so to speak, is located. Very briefly, I'm going to zoom out some more. If we go further south, let me make sure I don't get lost in the ocean. Down here are the San Bernardo Islands. As you can see, they are quite further away, again, because they are part of the same national park. Occasionally, they get lumped in, or people assume they are much closer to the Rosario Islands and or Cartagena than they are. This really only works as an overnight trip. There are several islands out here. The largest is Tintipan. It has a very nice public beach, but it's mostly mangroves. Then you have the island of 𝗪𝗁. Their public beach isn't quite as nice, but there are some really nice hotels out here that do have their own private beaches. So Hotel Punta Fardo, for example, is a really nice one. Like the Rosarios, this is a bit more sort of beach cabin style stay, nice beach cabin style stay than fancy resort where you're going to have, you know, air conditioning spaces. And then there is also this little island, 𝗪𝗏𝗁, which is supposedly the most densely populated island in the world. It is basically a little town that covers the entire island, mostly of fishermen, most of them former slaves and descendants of slaves that came out here years and years ago. It can be kind of a neat cultural visit for those who do come out here. They do a little tour of the town. There's a aquarium, which is really just a big sort of open area where you can swim with nurse sharks, which are harmless. They're basically giant suckerfish, but can be kind of a neat experience and a bit of a cultural thing. For example, those who were really interested in places like 𝗪𝗵𝗂𝗪 and Palenque would also be interested in visiting this town, for example. So that is sort of the four main islands of the four main island options. There is also Isla Palma, which is considered part of the San Bernardos, a little closer inland. There used to be a really nice resort here. It closed down, but there's a really neat beach where it's almost like this tiny strip of beach that goes out in the water. So you may have seen photos of it. There is not a really particularly nice place to stay out here as well, but it could be another option. So let's talk briefly now that we've kind of covered the geography and general points on these. Go back up here. Maybe I'll zoom out where you can kind of sort of see it all. So here we are, Cartagena, walled city, Boca Grande, 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗪, the bay. We've got Rosario Islands out here, far end, nice end of Peru, so to speak, and then you've got Playa Blanca roughly in this area, which again I would recommend avoiding. Questions that I often see come up related to this is day trip versus spending the night. This depends a little bit on what all you want to do or your travelers want to do in Cartagena or outside Cartagena itself. But if you want to spend the night out here in the Rosario Islands, generally it is best to only spend the night if you have more than 4 nights total. This depends a little bit on budget and how people want to organize themselves. Most hotels have boat transportation or can provide or connect you with boat transportation, but they only leave early in the morning and they only come back late in the afternoon. So spending 1 night means 2 entire days out here. Now you can organize private boats, and if a traveler really wants to do overnight here and they have the budget for it, that is a way to make that work. But no one is going to get out here their first night, you know, if they arrive basically at any time after 6 a.m. in the morning in Cartagena. Likewise, no one is going to go make their even 3 or 4 p.m. flight out of Cartagena coming back from here. So it's important to keep that in mind, because I often see people say, oh, I reserved a hotel for my last night in the Rosario Islands, and now I don't know how to get back from my flight. And so we want to avoid that situation where people now feel if they don't want to, they're going to need to book a much more expensive private boat in. Now, if they wanted the private boat and they want to make 4 nights work, that is a great way to do it. Places in Peru like the Sofitel, or even down here, they are reachable over land, so you can make that work. Roads, as Bruce mentioned, are not the best in the world, particularly once you get off of this sort of main road out there. But if you've got someone who really wants to spend the night on the islands and they're limited on time, or they want to make it their last night, you can make it work. Rosario's a bit tougher without doing that private boat in. So for people with shorter trips, day trips tend to be the best way to go. Lots of hotels and beach clubs out here offer day passes. Like I said, my two favorites out there, Isla Bella and San Pedro Majagua, Bruce works closely with, and they offer slightly different quality of experience. San Pedro is a little bit nicer. The other option is doing a private boat tour throughout the day. If you have a group coming of, I would say once you get past 5 people, this becomes often a pretty cost-effective way to have a really fun day out here. Why? Maybe you can stop out here, look at the fort, stop if you want, or not stop. Go snorkel at the reef out here, go to a beach club, spend your time on the beach, maybe go to another beach, maybe just park on the boat and swim and listen to your own playlist on the speakers for a while. Renting the boats and going out here is one of the things I miss the most about living in Cartagena. And again, even if you're talking about a solo traveler or a couple traveling, in my opinion, if there's something worth splurging a little more on, it's doing the private boat out to the islands, because you have a lot of flexibility. You can see multiple spots. There are also shared boat tours that go to different places. These tours can be very hit or miss, because some go to places where they're upselling you on snorkel gear, or you're going to have to pay for your beach chairs, you're going to have to pay for your umbrella, or whatever else it might be. For that reason, I generally recommend travelers stick to booking something through a reputable beach club or hotel out here for a day trip, or a reputable agency. The catamaran that does the sunset tour also does a day trip out here. The disadvantage of that is it doesn't actually stop at any beaches, because it's a big boat and can't dock with any of the beaches. So someone has the budget for it, especially if they're a group, even if it seems like they might not have the budget for it, private boat really is a great way to experience the island. Otherwise, I'd stick to day pass at a beach club or hotel out here. That is what I had planned to speak to you all about. I totally forgot to say this when I introduced myself, but I run a website, CartagenaExplorer.com, kind of a travel blog devoted mostly to Cartagena and Colombia. It's a little more geared to people planning their own trips, but it might be useful information for you as well. So I'm going to drop a couple links in the chat connected to just comparing the beaches, the different islands in Cartagena, and then a little more detailed on the Rosarios, Baru, and 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏. So that might be additional information if you want to take a deeper dive into any of those. And I will turn it back over to Bruce, unless you have anything else you want me specifically to mention and or cover.
No, I think you got it all. Thank you so much, Adam. As I mentioned before, Adam actually wrote a number of articles that we have on our website as well. So definitely would recommend checking out his blog. It's full of information about Cartagena, full of it. So, okay, we're running a little bit over time, but doesn't matter. So while we're still here, we got anybody have any questions at all regarding anything that we've been talking over for the almost 2 hours? So we got a little bit longer than expected. Anybody got any questions? Hotels, transport, accommodation, venues, restaurants. As I said earlier, you'll all be receiving the Cartagena City Guide as well. So it has a number of links to our website with a lot of information in there. But while I'm here, while Adam's here, please raise a hand, put a question in the chat. No, doesn't look like we have any. I think we've covered everything. Hard not to when we're talking for 2 hours. There's a lot. I know I sort of went quickly through a number of things with the hotels, but there are so many to choose from. So if anybody has any questions after, send them through. Oh, hang on. Somebody said clear, everything clear, very useful information. Great, you're very welcome. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for staying with us. If you have any questions, let us know later. I'll be available, as will my team, for any one-on-one meetings that you may need to clarify a few things. Adam is Cartagena Explorer, so feel free to reach out whenever you need help. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.